Got me dealing with the stress, got me dealing with the pain. Trying to find a way.
What's going on? Welcome back to another episode of the TD where we talk about all things sports, anime, advice, movies, and of course my series Titan King. I'm your host, Tony Dawkins, and this week we're going to be diving into NFL Week 8, where we're going to be talking about some people who was being pretty cold and some folks that was getting cooked. Pretty strange week. We had a lot of weirdness going on. I mean, it's honestly just been a very weird season, but at the end of the day, it's what it is I signed up for. I complained all year for the football season to come, and then it finally has come, and it's just, well, a bit underwhelming. But we will get into what is the MCPs. Starting off with the coldest marksman, I'm going to give that to Justin Herbert. Now, Justin Herbert does his usual Justin Herbert things, throwing an interception per game, but he was also able to do 18 for 25, 227 passing yards, and 3 touchdowns. They were having their way with the Minnesota Vikings. I mean, the Chargers were just looking absolutely lit up, no pun intended. You also saw that this game, they had their protection back. Everybody was back into the mix. Everybody was doing their usual thing, and now they're looking a lot more lively. Now, we have to see how long they're able to keep this up, because as we know, and clearly as we saw, because let's not get it twisted. Sam, even though Carson Wentz had a pretty rough game, the Vikings have a very solid defense. And the fact that the Chargers were able to do what they were able to do, as healthy as they were, to that defense tells you that they are most certainly an elite team. They just need to be able to stay at that bar. But all that being said, we got to give it to him. Justin Herbert, you went from medium rare to the coldest player this week. Moving on to the coldest hands, we're going to give that over to D-Hop. Now, D-Hop only had one catch for 14 yards, but the one catch that he did make was pretty fucking cold. Now, as a Bears fan, I have to admit, I'm a little bit upset because we didn't get the call for the face mask. People are talking about the offensive pass interference. I could give a shit about that. It's more so the fact that he was holding the face mask. I feel like that should have been called. But regardless, the catch was really nice and the catch was critical. And it just seems like every single time D-Hop has a really, really nice pass, has a really, really nice catch. He's always in this step in, do this really, really phenomenal catch, and then get back on the sideline. You know what I'm saying? Like D-Hop, he's almost like with you. I'm personally the older sibling, so I've never experienced this, but I've been that person who's had to do this, where you got an older sibling who is better at the game than you when you were a kid. And they just walk in and they just beat that level that's really, really hard for you. And then they just go on about their business. You know what I'm saying? Let me know if you need some more help. Like that's D-Hop. That's D-Hop on this team. And you love to see it. D-Hop, you certified for the coldest hands. Moving on to the coldest rocket, I have to give that over to Breece Hall, who was able to aid his team in finally getting themselves a W. I'm talking about Breece Hall was running them down on these Bengals. And listen, nobody thought that was going to happen. You didn't either. Don't you lie. I know some people are saying that they called it, saying that they thought that the Jets were going to be able to take down the Bengals. You're lying. You didn't think that was going to happen. Everybody was saying that Jay Fields was cooked, but I have to admit, I was impressed. And you know what? Especially after all of the BS that the Jets owner was saying about Jay Fields, I'm so glad that he got this win. I'm so happy because he can say, you know what? There is greatness to me. But let's not, and I have my problems, because let's not get it twisted. Justin, you know. But still, that does not somehow mean that negates the fact that the Jets have not had a solid quarterback in ages. And they haven't been to the playoffs in ages. That is not a problem that started with Justin Fields. So, let's just leave that at that. But Breece is just one of those players in the league that is very much so talented, but because of the team that he's on, he doesn't really get to shine the way that he does. And honestly, when they were having a lot of conversations about whether or not we should be switching up the running back when it comes to Chicago, Breece Hall was in that name conversation that I was definitely looking forward to getting if we needed to make a switch at the running back position. I'm not sure if Breece is necessarily looking to be traded. I'm sure Chicago welcomed him with open arms, but that being the case, Breece had a phenomenal game, and I'm hoping to see a lot more from this kid and his team in the future. Breece Hall, you have been stamped as the coldest rocket. Coldest wall goes to the Broncos' offensive and defensive lines. Both of these areas of the football, it just seems like they are just constantly in control of that area. They're not really struggling when it comes to other people's lines. And I felt like this was one of those weeks that we needed to have where we actually got to see Bo Nix rise up to the level of his defense. I complained last week that Bo has this issue where he waits till the fourth quarter to start cooking, where he has everybody sweating and people are leaving the stadium. But this week he showed up, and he showed up on time, and you love to see it. Part of what allows him to be able to see and allow him to be able to deliver these majestic spins on these footballs is the protection of this magnificent O-line. They're fighters, they're violent, they're grimy, they're getting inside them gutters and they're getting in them trenches, getting it done. And nothing needs to be said about the Broncos defense. They have been good for a while. Pat Surtain is phenomenal. It's even though he's out, but it's just a very, very put together unit to where they, as much so as the Colts are playing well and the Chiefs are playing well and the Bills are playing well and the Ravens are hoping to make a rise with Lamar Jackson coming back, you have to worry about those Broncos. And I'm really, really excited to see what this playoff picture is going to be looking like when we start looking over at the AFC. Moving on to the coldest knockout, I have to give that to, even though they got smoked by the Patriots, Myles Garrett, because Myles Garrett had a phenomenal Sunday. He was able to get 6 tackles, 5 sacks. Yes, 5 sacks against the Patriots. But despite all of his efforts, it was in vain, and his team was just not able to rise again. Another situation where the offense just isn't quite able to raise up to the level of the defense. And that's just killing them because they can't be on the field 24/7. If they do, they're not going to be that elite. They tired. You see that Myles even had a post-game interview. He was talking about, you know what? I would trade that good performance for a win. But the reality is that, Myles, you signed up for this. You said that you wanted to get out. You were tired of putting in all this effort and not winning games, and you bluffed like you wanted to get paid. But then after that, you took the money, and even though there was nothing that pointed towards having a plan to make things better, you still took the money, and somehow, some way, you're still upset. You can't be upset. You chose this. You gotta. If I was in that meeting, I'd be like, you know what? It's unfortunate. Obviously, I wish that we'd be able to win, but I did sign up for this, and we'll see if we'll be able to bounce back next week. Because that's all you can say. But that being the case, let's not let that diminish the performance that was Myles Garrett's 5 sacks. And pause. Let us crown ourselves this NFL Week 8 coldest knockout winner. Moving on to the Sniffles Award, even though it pains me to say this, I got to give it up to Packers quarterback Jordan Love. Jordan has been somebody that has been slightly over and underwhelming when it comes to his performance. Like, he has these moments where he's like, man, you're for sure he's got to be in that top 10 QB conversation. And then obviously you get to the playoffs and then he lays a big old dud. But hopefully this year, with the way that the team is starting to play, again, they haven't really been playing the best football the last couple of weeks, but this week it looks like they've definitely taken a step up. Jordan Love, 29 for 37, 360 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He was wheeling and dealing that football, and I'm talking about not 1, not 2, not 3. He had several targets throughout the entire night. Tucker Kraft, 7 for 143, 2 touchdowns. Christian Watson, 4 receptions for 85, 0 touchdowns, but again, 4 for 85. Romeo Dobbs, 3 for 44. Mr. Heath, 3 for 29. We're having ourselves a day here. And maybe you guys have been convinced. Maybe you guys are like, you know what, man? I've already known that Jordan Love was the guy. He's been the guy. He was replaced Aaron Rodgers, for God's sake. The Packers know what they're doing when it comes to quarterbacks. They've been doing a really, really good job of quarterbacks for the last 30 years. They think that they're going to be okay. But I have to admit, Jordan Love played a hell of a game against the Steelers. And say what you want as to whether or not it was the Steelers' defense playing terrible or him just being able to take advantage of the opportunity. But regardless, he looks fantastic. Jordan Love, you've been awarded the Sniffles. Which, funny enough, consequently, I'm going to give the Frozone Award to Aaron Rodgers. I feel like week in, week out, Aaron Rodgers keeps on surpassing all of our expectations when it comes to his performance. We saw how it was that he was performing on the Jets last year, and I think all of us thought that he was wise. There's just no more A-Rod of the past. It's just, the times are up. But Aaron Rodgers had a pretty solid game, 24 for 36, 219 yards, 2 touchdowns. He was very much so solid. It's just the fact that his defense was not playing very well. But that does not negate the fact that Aaron Rodgers consistently week in and week out playing some pretty good football. Aaron Rodgers looking more like Frozone. Moving on to this Blizzard Award, that is going to go over to Mr. Bo Nix. Bo Nix was able to rack up 19 for 29 attempts, 247 yards, 4 touchdowns. He did have an interception. But the fact is that Bo Nix was having his way with the Cowboys. As I alluded to earlier, it doesn't really feel like Bo is stepping up to the level of his defense. It feels like he's definitely a solid quarterback, and he can come in those clutch moments. Like I said, when it's the fourth quarter, he for whatever reason just comes to life and he just starts playing his ass off. But this is just one of those games where I felt like he played the entire way through, and you really just like to see that they're moving in the right directions and things are finally starting to gel together. But when I'm talking about it's a blizzard, you know I'm talking about Bo Nix. But if I had to say, who exactly is this week's MCP? Who's the person that was the most cold? Who had that moment that was just like, man, you looking really, really icy right now. I can't really think of anybody who accomplished something that was bigger than what you accomplished this week. It's Tyler Huntley. Tyler Huntley might have single-handedly just saved the Ravens season. I'm talking about no one, and I mean not a single soul, was thinking that Tyler Huntley and the Ravens, unless the Bears completely goofed it up, which they did, was going to be able to beat the Chicago Bears. Especially after seeing that miserable performance from Cooper Rush, we're thinking, man, Ravens, unless you got Lamar, y'all are cooked. But Tyler Huntley was very, very calm. He was poised in the pocket, and when he needed to take off, that man really, really punished the defense with his legs. 17 for 22, 186 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions. But again, the key thing is that man was moving. 8 carries for 53 yards, and overall just looked much, much more comfortable than Cooper Rush. The entire city of Baltimore is praising the ground that Huntley walks on, and I don't think that Tyler Huntley is going to be going to any more situations when it comes to being a quarterback, because it seems that the perfect place for that man is Baltimore. All right, now that we've gotten out of the freezer section, it's time to step into the oven. For this week's Mr. Step Your Game Up, I have to give it to Dylan Gabriel, because the fact is, when you have a defensive performance the way that you did, the least that you can do is raise your level of play to be able to meet that performance, so that way they don't have to be tired as hell and give you guys a shot to win the game. I understand that Dylan is a rookie, so obviously he's still learning. I'm not saying that he's cooked and that there's no way that he's gonna be able to return from grace, but he was 21 for 35, 156 yards, 2 touchdowns, but he countered them with 2 interceptions. Obviously, it's still really, really early. It's only been a handful of games, so we don't necessarily know what the ceiling is of this kid, but the fact is that if he doesn't raise his level of play, they're going to be calling for Shedeur. I don't know if Shedeur is going to get the opportunity to be able to show out, but I think that, again, the question is still going to be raised, and if he doesn't want that to be on his back, he better step his game up. The Screen Door and the Submarine Award is going to go over to the Steelers defense, because I don't think not a single soul this season thought that the offense was going to be the thing that kept them in games, because Lord knows the defense is not. You're talking about TJ Watt, Patrick Queen, Darius Slade, Joey Porter Jr., Minka Fitzpatrick. What are y'all doing? I'm watching this game and I'm thinking, man, J Love and these Packers about to get thumped wrong. And I get it. They have a lot of weapons. You have to account for all of them. But still, you know you don't have to let them score every time. And Tucker Kraft was cooking y'all. Ain't no way one tight end should be doing that much work, putting in that much work on all of y'all. I'm talking about crazy work. Don't go sub-diving with these guys, because your submarine will have a screen door. Medium Rare Award goes over to Caleb Williams, who had a god-awful showcasing against the Ravens. Now, he had one of those bad games that I like to call the good quarterback bad game. Meaning, when you are expected to play at a certain level, yeah, cool, 25 for 38 and 285 yards sounds nice. But when you get no touchdowns and an interception, we're looking at you funny. The fact is that this was a game that was ripe for the taking. And the reality is that when the game mattered most and we needed Caleb to come through, he choked. I'm talking about 13-16. We got a little bit of momentum. All we got to do is walk it down the field. And at bare minimum, if we struggle to get into the end zone, we can tie this thing up with a field goal. But he threw a very costly interception, and that interception turned into a touchdown. Too much focus on Rome Odunze, not enough switching up his targets. I don't know if that's a Ben Johnson thing or if that's a Caleb Williams thing, but he needs to start diversifying these plays or diversifying the players that he's throwing it to, because when it becomes obvious that you're throwing it to just Rome and you're only going to throw to Rome, especially if that's your last, like that's your just instinctual read, they're going to be covering Rome a lot more. Then what are you going to do? Just not throw to everybody else when he's double covered? Come on, man, be smart. But alas, it is only 2 weeks in a row that he has done this, Mr. I'm not going to play as well as I should be playing and up to the potential and the hype that I've been given. So I'm not going to say that he's all the way cooked. I'm going to give it medium rare for now. But right now, Caleb, you on this grill. I need you to hop off this mug real quick, because this week you got cooked. Barbecue Chicken Award is going over to Kirk Cousins. Listen, I'm somebody that is a big fan of Kirk Cousins. I was loving his work over there in Minnesota. But the fact is that he's just had such a fall from grace from the quarterback that I'm used to seeing when it is that he's on the field. He was very much so hesitant. He wasn't decisive, and he just did not want to have the ball for longer than half a second. 21 for 31, 173 yards, no interceptions, but also no touchdowns. Now, I don't necessarily think that Kirk's job is on the line. He's locked in with his contract. He's enjoying his handsome salary sitting on the bench. And I think that this is going to be his last, obviously, big contract until he's going to be, for the remainder of his career, a career backup. But that pales in comparison to the Flat Top Grill Shavings Award winner, which, for the first time, is awarded to a coach. And that Flat Top Grill Shavings Award winner is Zach Robinson, the offensive coordinator for the Falcons. Because why in the hell is it 3rd and 1, or maybe it was 4th and 1, 3rd and 1, and you have Bijan Robinson come out the game so that you can have Tyler Algier when they know he's going to run the ball? Why would you not have Bijan out there? Somebody that you can account for, so that way you can be able to either fake a play or do something. It's 1 fucking yard. And the thing is that, Zach, you've been doing this for a while. I've been noticing a lot of really, really bogus, stupid calls that have been played when it comes to your offense, and the pure explosiveness comes from the talent that the team holds. Raheem Morris, you need to let this guy go, because this dude is going to cost you your job. And going into the media talking about we weren't prepared for whatever team, that should never be something that should be leaving out of the mouth of a head coach. I left you off this week, but you keep this up next week, Morris is going to be on this MCP. But alas, there's only one person I think more deserving of the MCP this week, and that was the team that was able to put up a measly 3 points against their divisional opponent. And that was Spencer Rattler on the Saints. Spencer Rattler, because not an anomaly, but just like an enigma, because he has these flashes of, okay, maybe he can really play. And then he does stupid shit, trying too hard to do too much instead of being smart and trying to, again, play the chess match that is the football game. I feel a lot of quarterbacks nowadays, they're not setting up plays for later. They're just playing each down and just trying to get completion by completion, rather than trying to mess with the opponent's mind in terms of what they're going to do by switching it up so they can be able to open up opportunities for them. Spencer, though, is just trying his damnedest to prove I need to be the starting quarterback for the Saints and you don't need to bench me. And he got benched today. But you know what's insane? Not the fact that he got benched, but the fact that they passed on Shador, and the guy that they drafted in the first round steps in for Spencer, and their stats are virtually identical. Spencer Rattler, 15 for 21, 136 yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. Tyler Shuck, 17 for 30 attempts, 128 yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. Doesn't sound that far off. Sound like you got shit in one hand and boo-boo in the other. And the thing is that his job is on the line, but to an outside trade option, because who are you going to draft? I don't see any really interesting, any really enticing draft prospects when we're talking about quarterbacks for the 2026 draft. Granted, there's plenty of football to be seen, and somebody could arise and emerge to be a diamond in the rough, but we still in the rough. But as of right now, the Saints are just having a lot of issues, and it's not all Spencer Rattler's fault, but he's certainly not helping the problem. Spencer, I truly, truly, truly hope that you figure out what it is that you need to figure out to get this offense moving, or at least show on tape that you are not the reason why this team is failing. Because the performance that you put up this week and the performance you put up last week against the Bears, that's the type of stuff that gets you benched, and that's the type of stuff that makes you lose your job, bro. So you got to step up. You got to lock in. You got to put in the extra hours. I don't know what you're doing on your off time, but until your job is secure, you shouldn't have no spare time. You should be working to prove that you deserve to be a starting quarterback in the NFL. But with that being the case, that is going to do it for this week's MCPs. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Let me know what it is that you thought. Let me know if there is somebody that I left out or somebody that you think that was more deserving of the award that I didn't get the award. And let me know what it is that you think it should be added to the awards inside of the comments in terms of things that I haven't mentioned or things that maybe would be a really, really cool award that I haven't thought of. Make sure you guys check out Titan King Volumes 1, 2, and 3. You can buy them anywhere you can get manga, anywhere you can get comic books. You just look up Tony Dawkins. You'll find it really, really quick. But that's going to do it for this week. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. You guys take care, and we will see you guys next time. Take care.
Find me dealing with the stress, find me dealing with the pain. Getting trying to find a way. 'Cause